Okay guys, good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Tony, or as a lot of my friends call me, Lockie. I got that name because I'm a retired, or I was a locksmith, and now I'm retired. So yeah, Lockie. When I'm gluing together any printed parts, I always just use the Hobby King CA super glue, and also their accelerator. Okay, so I've devised this method of putting the fuselage together. As you can see, the fuselage we could simply glue the fuselage together like this. And I used to have a slip joint system. We could put little tabs inside to line everything up and just glue it together, but of course if we have a heavy landing or an accident, or we have a crash and we damage that part, then we virtually have to scrap the whole thing. It's very difficult to separate the glued joints. So I've come up with this idea, and I call it a slip lock joint, and all it is, it's just little hooks that slide in these little slots and we lock it together. So we'll make that now. I decided on my last model that I use this the slip lock joint, that what we do is put the hooks in the forward section, so they always go at the rear of the forward section. That way we know exactly which way and how this locks in and how it unlocks. So we'll start with I've got F6, it's actually printed in there, F6 there, so F5 would be the forward section, and this is the rear of the forward section, so this is the part that the hooks will go into. Let me get a bit of just to wipe these joints down. So we always make sure that the hooks go in. There's a on each former there's a little lip, and the little lip always goes to the outside, of course. And the reason I did this is because when I made the formers the first time, I tried them in and they actually slipped too far in, and then they were difficult to pull them out and difficult to glue. And as you know, super glue CA dries very quickly, sets very quickly, and you only have a few seconds. So the fact that we've got this little lip on, push it right in, and that's it. It comes up against the lip and it can't go any further. Excuse me, it can't go any further. Right, so we make sure that the hooks always go down and they always face out towards the flat side with the little lip. So if we slide them in there, I'll pop them all in so I know they're all in the right way. And what I've done, I always make sure the little shoulder is facing outwards. The little shoulder is there just to make sure it sits correctly against the former, which should give it exactly the right amount at the other side so that it locks in quite tight. So I'm going to glue these in place. Okay, they're all in there, so now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go around and make sure they're glued in there securely. Just a little bit down each side. See that? And then of course that will fit inside there. Always good to do a trial fit of these formers or anything before you glue it really. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a trial fit to see if these two lock together. Oh, it's very tight, very tight. That's good, that's good. It's very tight when it's in the former like this, but when it's in the when the formers are actually glued inside the parts, then it will slide in a bit easier. If not, we can always take the file and just run it on the inside of these little hooks just to loosen it up fractionally. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the camera now, and I'm going to fit. I'm going to glue all these tabs into the relevant formers. I'll come back soon. Okay, so I've glued all the hooks into the relevant formers, and don't make the mistake of getting the hooks the wrong way round, or even the wrong way round, not facing the right way, as I did on one of these formers and had to cut them out and do them again. So that's a good lesson learned. Okay, so now we can start gluing these formers in place. Always a good idea to just test fit the former before we glue it in. I'm going to run a bit of glue down each little slot because I've done a cutout in these formers to make them lighter, but of course it makes them a little bit weaker. So if we make sure we run some glue into these slots, that'll definitely help with the strength, I think. Okay. Wipe off any excess. And then just make sure that the former is right home, and I always, if possible, hold it onto the bench make sure it's flat. Of course you can't do that with the hooks because they're sticking out. But now there is a tiny little lip there around the former, which I will actually sand off, sand it back later, but for now we'll just glue the formers in place. So that's that one. The rear former I'll leave for the time being. Okay, now this one and this one, make sure we've got the right one. F3, so that one is F6, this one is F5, which has got the hooks in, so we'll glue that in next. Okay. Of any excess. Then we'll just make sure that that's firmly sitting against the shoulder on this former. Yes, that's nicely hung. Again, there's a little tiny lip, tiny lip, which again I'll just sand off later, just to make it nice and smooth. Then we can glue in the F4 former. Again, a trial fit to make sure everything is fitting well. I guess it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Stick to your finger if you don't want it to. Keep it moving around so it doesn't glue itself to your bench top. But it's nice to be able to hold it against the bench because you make sure that the former is sat right in to the part. Okay, now we've got next one, which is F3. Again, try it in there, and the number is printed on the back of the former, so we can't get it wrong. be used a little bit, this, if you're not careful. Just make sure that that's set really well harmed, because we can't hold it against the bench. We can, but it's not going to hold the edges, so a little point there sticking up. Okay, that's a nice lip. And so on my fingers. Okay, now we've got F2, which is just the slots. Make sure it fits nicely, yep. Again, this one I can hold down against the bench top, make sure everything's, make sure the former's right home. Okay, and now we've got F1. I think I really need bits of the red rag in there. Okay. Making sure that's pushed right out. Okay, it seems like the battery went flat on me, so if I don't know what it actually missed, but I was just gluing in the former into the front section, and they're all glued together now. So apart from the back bit, which we'll come to later. So what I might do is just try these together and see how they fit. I must stop using this red rag to wipe the excess off. I'm getting a red mark around my joints. So So that's a nice tight fit, but it will come apart should we want it to. Okay. That's a nice tight fit too. But I've been better off starting at the back, and then I only have to knock in one section rather than have to knock the whole lot in. Okay. I have actually modified this. This is a little bit weak here. I've actually put in another format, internal format in there to stop that happening. But there we go. Now to make sure that it's secure, all we have to do is slide in and what I should have done was just make sure that the tube fitted through all the parts before I put it together, because sometimes in the former we might just have to run a 6mm drill bit through, but this seems to fit together. I said, there we go. Oh, one barrel shaft must be long somewhere. Anyway, so there's no way that's coming apart now, and as I say, it's a shame that I use my red piece of t-shirt to wipe the joint off, so I've got a red mark down each joint now, so that's something to be wary of. Okay, so we've got quite nice joints. We can sand a little extra lip off that I said about earlier. Like that, it sands beautiful, does this PLA. The like that PLA, it sands beautiful. If you're using standard PLA, then I guess you would have to just sand it off before you put the parts together, because you certainly wouldn't want to be sanding the face of a coloured PLA. But there we go.